All right, welcome back. We're on Module 2 of our bow weapons course. For this part, we're going to talk about kind of basic tips and just things to get you started on using a bow if you've never done any kind of archery before. There's a few things that you want to make sure to avoid injuries. Now, one of the biggest things that you can probably always know about is when people have the arm guards to protect from the string. Now, they're really good to have when you're first starting out, but if you do your proper archery stance, you don't really technically need it. When you're holding your bow, you want to make sure you hold it out, but you don't want to have your arm super overextended so that way my arm is completely straight and locked. You almost want to have it kind of bowed out. You can kind of see, like if I hold it sideways, there's a little bit of an arch there. And so when the string goes across, it's actually not coming in contact with my arm. The most times when you see people having huge bruises here from being hit with the string, it's because they had their arm overextended, thinking that they had to put tons and tons of pressure against the bow to make sure it held in place as they drew back. When in fact you're essentially cupping your hand, and then the bow sits in that cup. And you just want to make sure you have that cup there. You're not actually having to do like a death grip to hold on to that bow. You'll see many times when bows are being used, sometimes when they release, the bow kind of goes limp in their arm and it kind of goes forward. That's because they're not holding on to it real tight. The main thing is, though, you want to make sure you have that little bit of a bow in your elbow, so that way your skin is out of the directional path of that flying line. And that's going to really make sure that you don't injure yourself that way. But just when you're starting out, try to use finger guards and arm guards and all that kind of stuff to just protect yourself while you're learning and making those mistakes, because they can be mistakes that hurt a lot. Now, along with the arm guard, I also mentioned the kind of finger guards that you can also do. Now, if you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of money to go to the archery store and get some high-end ones, the ones that have just the little two gloves on the finger. You can also just get kind of a basic piece of leather. And I've seen guys just make strips of leather, and then you poke a hole in one end so that way the leather goes in through the hole, and then you just kind of cinch it around your fingers. And that just kind of allows you to get that pull back. There's also a couple different kinds of ways that you can grab the arrow and string when you do your drawback. How you use your drawback, how you grab the arrow is going to determine what you use. If you're using two fingers, one below the arrow, one above the arrow, you're not going to be able to use a solid piece of leather because you're going to be in the way of the arrow. So stuff like that is when you need one for each finger, so that way it's split, so you can go between the arrow, stuff like that. So just try to keep in mind the kind of stances you're going to use, the way you're going to grab the arrow, so that way when you go out and buy your accessories, you make sure you buy accessories that are going to work for your techniques and stances that you prefer to use.